I'm Derek Grant, and welcome to DG Mindset. So we're going to talk about this thing that we call imposter syndrome. If you're a human being, if you have a pulse, if you are breathing, you have dealt with imposter syndrome. If you're an entrepreneur, a founder, perhaps you're a leader, you've dealt with imposter syndrome. It doesn't matter who you are, at some point you've dealt with imposter syndrome. So let's first understand what imposter syndrome is. It's a psychological phenomenon where basically we will accomplish something or want to accomplish something, and we don't think that we're actually worthy of the outcome. So let's just say you have a goal and you hit the goal and you accomplish it, and then you will make up the excuse that it was luck or somebody gave you an opportunity that, I can't believe this happened, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have. You will not give yourself credit for what you've done because you feel like an imposter. You feel like you don't even deserve to be there or to accomplish that. So what we're going to do today is break down the 3 reasons as to why you struggle with imposter syndrome. So for me, myself, I have dealt with imposter syndrome, and I continue to deal with imposter syndrome. And I started to ask myself why, because I am a Sagittarius, and if anybody's a Sagittarius out here, please let me know in the comments, because you know us Sagittarius warriors always want to know why. So I started to ask myself, why do I struggle with this feeling on the inside that I'm not worthy of where I'm at or where I say I want to go? So the first reason as to why you may struggle with imposter syndrome is this thing that we call perfectionism. Perhaps growing up, you were raised by high-performing parents or parents that told you need to be successful and you need to make sure that you do this and you do that. So here's what ends up happening. It creates a psychological wound of perfectionism, meaning we won't do something, or if we accomplish something, we won't give ourselves credit because it wasn't perfect. But here's the paradox with perfectionism. Your imperfection contains perfection inside of it. So when we start to understand that perfection is not something that can be obtained, it's your imperfection that actually leads to you being perfect. Everything is exactly as it should be in this present moment. So the thing that you're saying that's imperfect is actually perfect because it couldn't be another way. So what ends up happening is, when you fall short of these standards that maybe were established by somebody else, whether it's a caretaker, whether it's parents, whether it was a coach, whether it was social media or social programming, when you fall short of it, you feel unworthy. So I see this happen so often with clients that I work with. Because of this fear of perfectionism, a lot of times we won't take action. We won't start. We'll procrastinate. We'll put things off. And this is why one symptom of perfectionism, and this is how imposter syndrome arises out of perfectionism. We don't believe that we're worthy of obtaining something because we think in order to obtain or achieve or accomplish something, we had to be perfect. So here's what I want you to remember. You are already perfect just the way you are. Because the way you are at this moment that we call now, you couldn't be any other way. The second reason as to why we struggle with imposter syndrome is through comparison to others. You've probably heard the quote, comparison is the thief of all joy. Well, what ends up happening is when we compare ourselves to somebody else's life, it's because we're not intentional with where we want to go, meaning you haven't picked a destination. Imagine this. You get in your car and you don't know where you're going. You never picked a destination. And now you're going to be looking at other cars, comparing to how fast they're going and what direction they're going. And you're going to say, wait, should I get off of this exit? Should I go this way? So now, because you're comparing to somebody else, you're not actually driving where you need to go. So the way we combat comparing ourselves to others is you become so laser focused on where you want to go in life. Here's the beauty of life. Only you get to say where you want to go. You get to pick the destination. So write down where it is you want to go in life. What do you want life to look like here in 2 to 3 to 5 years? More importantly, write down how you want life to feel, because that's all we were seeking anyway. When you start to do this and you focus on that, you'll see that the need to compare yourself to others becomes obsolete. Here's something else to remember about comparison. There is no one to compare yourself to. You are literally the only person in this entire physical universe that is you. There's not another you. There will never be another you. Own that. You are a one of one. And the third reason why we struggle with imposter syndrome is because we have a fear of failure or rejection. We're scared that we may fail if we try, so we won't even try it. Or we'll do just enough, but we won't go past that pain threshold because there's a fear of, if I go into the land of being uncomfortable, there's a possibility that I could fail. These are all mind tricks that the ego plays on us. There is no such thing as failure. I want you to look at your own life. We all learn how to walk. We all learn how to do something through what we would deem as failure. You learn how to walk by first falling down. You learn how to make a shot by first missing. So when you start to embrace failure, when you start to embrace rejection, when you start to realize that the negative polarities in life are actually trying to show you what you need to work on so that way you can accomplish whatever the desire was, you'll start to see that life was always working itself out for you. So the fear of failure, comparing yourself to others, and perfectionism are three of the most obvious reasons why a human being struggles with imposter syndrome. So here's my advice for you along your journey. Step into this new version of who you're becoming. Because at some point, we were all going to have to become someone that we've never been in order to do something that we've never done. And before we accomplish it, there will be an imposter. There is going to be a version of you that has never been seen before, and the physical world hasn't yet caught up. So if you're feeling imposter syndrome, don't look at it from a negative place. Look at it as a positive and remind yourself, I'm becoming someone new. The world hasn't seen yet. This is the new version of me, the next iteration. And life hasn't quite caught up. So for life to catch up, I first have to be it before I see it. And this, my friends, is how you embrace the imposter so you can create a new way of being. You're already perfect. You're a one of one. And remember, there was no such thing as failure. They were just lessons that needed to be learned. If this video resonates with you, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Let me know where you're from. I'm always curious to know, where is DG mindset resonating with the world? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe. Also, if you feel like this really helped you, why don't you go ahead and download the DG Mindset app, available for Apple. And until next time, keep going.